The next thing we're going to be working on is going to be the flamethrower effect that is going to come out of our enemy's mouth as our enemy attacks. And this is going to be what causes the damage onto our player. Now we're going to be creating this effect, this flamethrower, by using particle systems. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to import a package. It's going to have some particle systems in it that we can use as a reference, and we can also use some of its assets in order to create our effect. Now we want to import particle systems right here. So we're going to select that. And then we're going to say import. And once that's done, we're going to now go into standard assets and go into particle systems. And then we're going to go into prefabs. And you can see we have a bunch of example particle systems here we could look at. The one that I want to bring up is going to be fire complex. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this in here. And I'm going to go ahead and get a little closer on it. Maybe bring it up a little bit. And you're not seeing a lot right now. But over in the hierarchy, we can see that this actually has children of it because it has a little arrow next to it. So if I go ahead and open up that, we can take a look and see what's in here. And see we have a fire effect. And oh, when I select that, it looks like we start seeing the effect. We have the ability to stop it or also pause it. I'm going to let it continue to simulate. We have the flame effect. We have the glow effect. We have some other ones here, so some smoke and some other things going on, some sparks and whatnot, and also a light. So if I just select the light and hold in shift and go all the way up to the fire, I have all of them selected, and we can sort of see what the effect's going to look like. So that's pretty cool. So now if we want to have just isolate and only see one of these again, we need to just go through and stop the ones that are playing. So just like this. And it's important to note that if you wanted to see them all playing to start off with, then you still have to go through and look at each one, so you have to select each one. Otherwise, if I just go ahead and I have, say, this one up here selected, well, let me go ahead and stop this one because I started playing it. So let's say I just have the fire one going, and I select it down through the light. You see, you still just have the fire one going. So yeah, just make sure you go through and select each one you want to have playing. But I'm going to go ahead and stop this one, because I want to start with showing the fire effect. So this is what it looks like. And let's go over to the inspector and check out the particle system component, where we have quite a lot of things. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put this down a little bit further. Quite a lot of things. Okay, so we can see that there are all of these check marks here next to certain things, and that basically enables each of these. You can sort of think of it as like a subcomponent or a module. And so for a mission, if I go ahead and open that up, you can see there are like settings for each of these things down here. Now let's go ahead and start with just the top thing, these basic settings. So duration is how long the particle system is, and looping will of course make it loop over and over again. And we have, I mean, all of these are sort of self-explanatory. We have the start lifetime, so how long is each particle going to exist before it dies. And this has been set to be a random between two constants, and you can change what these numbers are by clicking in here, or you can change how they are set up by clicking the little arrow here, and you can set it to be random between two constants, or between curves, or just one constant, so all of them have the same life. I'll show you what the curve stuff is here in a second, but this is just a random between two numbers. So we'll choose a random number between these two here for the start lifetime. Now we can see all these are sort of the same thing, and then we have start color, and this is just chosen as a color, and you can go in here and you can change it, of course. And you can see, well, this isn't that color, this isn't white, but this is more of a tint for it, because what we're using is a material. We're using this particle fire cloud, and so this is actually what the particle looks like. This is the texture it's using. So this is just another material that was made and then applied to this particle system. We can see that it's just a single image here. It's set to be under the shader type. If I just click here, most of the time we've been using the standard shader, but you can actually click on this and go down to particles and set it to be additive. So that's how you can sort of make your own particle material. Anyway, let's keep going here. So emission is this top one, and this will basically, for this is pretty simple. It's just set to emit 13 particles per second, and yeah, that's pretty much it for that. You can also put in bursts, so you can say at 1 second I want to send out maybe 100 particles or something like that. And yeah, this is the emission based on time, so that's how it's being set. So that's why I said 13 per every second. Now the shape is sort of where it's being emitted from. So we can see it's using this cone shape. You see it's set to cone, and you can change the angle. So I can change, how big that circle up there is. You can change the radius. And so all these have, differing effects. Emitted from the base, you can say emitted from different things. And a lot of this you're just going to have to go through and check out everything and see how it all works. But I'll give you the broad overview of a few of these things. Velocity over lifetime is how fast, of course, the particles are moving over lifetime. And limit velocity over lifetime, it's setting, limits on that. Force over lifetime, this is one that's being used. So, how much force is applied pushing the particles along. And let's see, the color. This one might be a little bit more interesting. Take a look at this. Yes, this is a lot more interesting. So I've opened it up just by clicking on that rectangle there, and you can see a lot of stuff has been set up in here. Now these top little tabs are for the alpha. That's how transparent these particles are, and you can see it starts off at 0, which means it's 100% transparent. Then a new tab was put here that sets it to 72. So it's, maybe like I guess that's about a quarter maybe opaque. And then over here, and this is basically from the beginning of its life to the end of its life. So about here in the lifetime, it's set to 60. And then over here, it's set back to 0. So it never really becomes very opaque. It's pretty transparent for the most part. Then for the color, these bottom tabs are for the color. So at the beginning of the lifetime, it's this color tinted. And then at this point, it's this color tinted. And then it becomes this, and then this. So very cool. Very interesting. Yeah, and if I want to add in more tabs, I can just click, see, up here to add another one in right there. So I'm going to press Control-Z just to undo it, or I can just delete that one. There we go. It's the delete key. And I'm going to go and close out that. So that's how you can change the color of lifetime. Let's see, speed over lifetime. Okay, this one's using a curve, so this will be interesting to look at. So if I just select that curve, the curve editor comes up down here, and this might have been set to one of the presets down here. There's some presets you can use, or you can also click in here, double click, and you can add in your own point, and you can adjust this curve, and there's these little handles you can turn to adjust it as well. So there we go. Now it's slightly different curve for the size over lifetime. So from the beginning of the lifetime to the end of the lifetime. And I've changed sort of how big it will be throughout that. Now let's go ahead and change this a little bit more. I'm going to change this to be a random between two curves. So now it's going to randomly pick a number between here at the beginning and here at the beginning for where it's going to be at the beginning. And as it goes through, it's going to choose something randomly between these two, or going along each one of these curves. And I'm going to go ahead and just adjust this a little bit. I want to have this maybe up here as well, just like that. So there. It looks a little bit more interesting, a little better. Cool, so that's that one. Take a look at rotation. So that's how much is it rotating, what's its angular velocity, and we chose a random between two constants. And let's see, what other cool ones are there here? Collision, you need to check this in order to actually have this particle system react to collide with things, and you can do some various things with that, which we're going to get into a little later. And the renderer, this is going to be an important one, and we're going to show a little bit more of this right now. I'm going to go ahead and go over to the flames, which, this is an interesting system here. It looks sort of like the flames are changing, the image is changing, And it is, because it's using this material here that, if we go ahead and just take a look at this texture, it's actually a bunch of images. This is a sprite sheet. So what we're doing is flipping between these images to sort of show it animating. And so we have to set that up here in the renderer part. And we're setting it up, or sorry, not here. We have to set it up in the texture animation sheet. So this one's checked. You can see this is checked. I'm going to close this. And you can see that we have the tiles set to be 8 by 4 because there are 8 pictures of the flame along the X, so horizontally, and 4 along the Y, so this way. So that's how we get that. And so that is what you have to do in order to use a sprite sheet for your particle system. So the render is important. There's some stuff here that you can do, and so for instance, vertical billboard. These are different ways you can sort of show your particle system. It could be rendered. You can like make particles that are mesh objects. These are kind of cool. I like the stretch billboard. It's sort of an interesting one, although it doesn't look very good for this. But it just sort of, it could be good for like if you had streams of light sort of coming off of a jet or something like that. So, but we're going to change that to billboard. Okay, so that is just a quick overview of some of these components and how some of these effects are done here in Unity. So I will see you in the next lesson where we are going to start making our flamethrower.